Yes, hello everyone. Fáilte Ashkedy Cúilín Media. Welcome back to the first weekend review show of 2026 here on Cúilín Media. My God, do we have a lot to talk about. James Brady here, joined by Liam White and Aaron Prendergast. Unfortunately, Matthew Hurley, our fourth and final member, will not be able to join us for this episode, but we still have a good cast here to run through the entire weekend's action. And lads, by God, do we have a lot to talk about here. Peter, a long-time friend of the show, he puts it perfectly. And anybody who's watching along, maybe for the first time, get involved in the live chat. Let us know what your highlights were from the weekend. It helps to make the episode much better. Peter says, hey lads, geez, where to start with this weekend? Controversy, chaos, blame it on the weatherman, Astro Gate, coin tosses. You couldn't write it. Liam, where do we start with this weekend?
I suppose with the fact that we have a Dingle versus St. Brigids All-Ireland final, certainly one that it's going to be one that I'm very much looking forward to. Wasn't looking that way after, to be honest, even after the first 5 minutes yesterday, I was thinking, well, Ballyboden are in the final. Dingle, it's been nice knowing you. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to know the injury that Paul Ganey had that kept him out in the first half, and then he comes on and does what he did in the second half in extra time. But today's game, probably not as dramatic or, nerve-shattering in a way, but it was still a very good game of football. We were saying off here that if that game had been played last year or the year before, it might have been a dab squib, but thankfully we've had two very good All-Ireland semi-finals, had drama in the intermediate, we have coins now deciding pre-season games. We might decide the All-Ireland this year as well, but cracking weekend, looking forward to getting into it.
Absolutely. Well, just talking about like the news of the week and stuff like that, Aaron, I'll throw this one over to you. Peter says, think there needs to be a serious look at the provincial preseason games. Too much chaos and a shambles with coin tosses thereafter. League should be the starting point for the season in February. The reality is, a lot of people, as I was hearing this debate on the radio, Des Cahill on Sunday Sport was asking Conleth Gilligan, who was doing the co-commentary with Marty, and he asked Conleth, there's a lot of people talking about, like Peter Canavan had come out and saying that there's no real room for the preseason competitions and everything like that. My take on it is clearly there's the anticipation. Clearly people want inter-county games to come back. You saw it yourself, Aaron. You were at the Dublin versus Laois football game yesterday. I was commentating on the Dublin Carlow hurling game today in the Walsh Cup. There was a great crowd there. People are buzzing to have inter-county fixtures back. But this kind of half in, half out approach where, like, remember the O'Byrne Cup a couple of years ago where Louth beat Dublin and then pulled out of the competition the next day and stuff like this. Like, it's kind of like we've got this weird little half in, half out where people start the competition and then you realize that nobody really cares about winning it. If people want to have inter-county action, I don't see why we can't just move the league back a couple of weeks. And that also then gives more of a gap between the end of the league and the start of the championship, which would mean that teams would take the league final more seriously.
Yeah, well, like that's what we've been saying for the last couple of years. Like that's what everyone's been saying is like push, like there's no reason why the All-Ireland final can't be, I don't know, the 10th of August or something like that, rather than the 24th of July. Like just push it all back a little bit to the middle of August. Like it's not like at that stage as well, it's not clashing too much with club championships as well. Like, club championships are kind of, senior club championships are only kind of off the ground in a lot of counties. So I don't think it's clashing with them too much at that stage. Maybe some of them, but I think that's something they do need to look at because it like I think with the preseason competitions, I think where it boils down to is that people are paying for the tickets. Like the demand is there. It's just that they don't know how to organize this from their arse, from their elbow. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you have coin tosses left, right, and center deciding games. Fans being told 10 minutes before throw in that it's going to be decided by a coin toss. Yeah, it's all a little bit all over the place, to be honest with you. Like if you're going to cancel the games, fair enough, but I don't know, maybe just both teams should exit the competition or just play it. Can you play the game the next day? Or I saw someone make a suggestion, just do a one-off penalty shootout. I really don't know, but yeah, coin toss does sound a little bit mad in 2026 that we're still deciding games of football and hurling by a coin toss. Like it's just, it's a little bit mad.
Yeah, I just would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when someone suggested the coin toss for the first time, and people actually were like, "Yeah, no, this guy's onto something here." Like, I do think coin toss. That's the way we should decide who gets into the next round of a competition that we want everyone to take seriously. In my opinion, the coin toss is such a stupid way to have someone go through to the next round. There is no skill at all involved. I don't know how this is breaking through. But what I'm saying is, my stance on it would be, if you're going to do the preseason competitions, do them right. Give them their own time in the year, give them their own space in the year, everything like that, where they can be the main focus for people who want to go see intercounty action. The way it is now is it's really shoehorned in. And the minute that the pitch wasn't available, a coin toss. And I kind of agree, Aaron, that like, even as mad as it would feel to do a penalty shootout to see who goes through, at least the penalty shootout has a little bit of skill involved in who goes through. The coin toss, like, you might as well play a hand of poker to see who goes through. Like, there's no skill involved. Like, it's genuinely, I don't know. And like Peter here highlights it, Kilkenny Westmeath was due to be played in the Downs, but moved to Lomans Mullingar. Grass pitch wasn't available, only full size Astro. Kilkenny warmed up on the gravel outside. They would not play on the Astro. The ref called it 1 minute before the throw in. 300 people were in attendance there. More chaos in Kildare. Galway arrived and a decent sized crowd. Match was pushed to 2 p.m. Then the ref called it off before that. I mean, when you weigh it up like that, I get that at this stage of the season, pitches will be called off, weather will be terrible. We know that, we all lived through that. But we're in this really weird area right now, this really weird shade of grey with the preseason competitions, where we're like stuck between just binning them off altogether or incorporating them into the calendar. And that kind of leads to the worst of both, because they get in the way of the competitions that we want to take seriously. And then people then aren't respecting them enough in terms of their preparation and the coverage of the games and everything like that. So it's a really, really difficult one to know what to do exactly. And you'd be kind of scared to say where you stand on it. Me personally, I'm like, I don't 100% see the need for them, to be honest. And like, that's definitely coming from a Leinster perspective, where I've witnessed teams not really care about the O'Byrne Cup. Like, I know that up in Ulster, the preseason competition is really much more important, as shown by 7,000 plus that turned up to Armagh Tyrone. What I'm saying is that appetite for the preseason competitions, that intercounty action, it's there, but let's just move the league up a little bit. And then we can have that gap between the league and the championship, and the intercounty action is satisfied. That would be my move. Liam, what would your take on it be?
Yeah, I've been spouting this all day, really, and people are probably sick of me on TikTok talking about it, to be honest with you. But like, what is the point of having these competitions and asking these lads who are still amateur at the end of the day, whilst, let's be honest, playing a professional sport at this point? What's the point of asking these lads to train throughout November, throughout December, and throughout January to then pull matches on the day, a minute before throw-in, 10 minutes before throw-in, half an hour before throw-in, and then decide a coin toss? Like, I joked earlier because I was like, like, I was thinking to myself, Charlie Mitchell may as well not be training for Offaly. He may as well be practicing his coin tossing at this point. Like, it's just a joke. Like, I mean, I saw it in the update earlier. Offaly, I think it was Offaly, Galway, and Westmeath won the coin tosses, and they're now in the Shield semi-finals this weekend. And Antrim, Kildare, and Kilkenny go into the Shield, or they're in the Shield competition. And I'm just like we're playing Galway now this weekend, and I'm just like, we did nothing to get here. Galway have done nothing to get here, but yet, because we probably said heads instead of tails, we're in a semi-final. It makes absolutely no sense. I agree with you completely. Like, there's no way a competition that the GAA are trying to take seriously should be decided by a coin toss. Similarly with Longford, Westmeath yesterday. Like, as much as these games at the end of the day, they're not important, nobody's going to be remembering them in this week, realistically, and never mind yesterday or whatever. It was still nice to be able to watch, say, from my perspective, Offaly Carlow yesterday. It was nice for Aaron to watch Laois Dublin yesterday. Do you know, it was nice for you to be commentating today on Carlow Dublin. It's nice to be having these games to go and watch, and to, because we've been starved of intercounty action for such a long time, and you want to see new players and new tactics, new management teams, etc., testing out lads and all this. And there's surely a way that, look, even if they have to move, I don't know, 10 minutes away, like you could easily play a lot of these Walsh Cup games in club grounds. You don't need to be playing them in the big inter-county grounds. I know obviously 7,000 turned up for the games in the McKenna Cup, whatever, but certainly, like, I agree with you, for Munster or for Leinster, the O'Byrne Cup, Walsh Cup games, like Kildare, Galway could easily have been played in Naas. Like Laois Dublin yesterday was played in Rataniska. You could, I think Carlow Offaly was played in Éire Óg or something like that. You could easily play Offaly Antrim today in the Faithful Fields. You know, like you could easily play these games in, you know, like Carlow Dublin today wasn't in Cullen Park. You know, you can easily play these games just somewhere else. So I don't know. Coin toss.
The venue today, for what it's worth, the venue today was perfect.
Yeah,
it was perfect. Like it was perfect size. The crowd that gathered in was all neatly tucked away in that stand there at the SETU Carlow campus, and that made for a really good atmosphere as well. And that was a real showcasing of like the appetite that's there. My take on it would be, I think that the preseason competitions have the potential to be something really, really good. It's like a mini version of the provincial championships. It's like that's what they're trying to do. And I'm like, okay, so either for me, it's like we're somewhere in the middle here. So either commit and go all in on making these part of the calendar, or don't, because this weird half ground where they're very rushed teams that were doing coin tosses to let teams go through, and some teams are folding after they win a game. It makes it hard to believe that the teams are taking it serious and that we're all taking it serious when teams are progressing on coin tosses. Like, could you imagine the fiasco if, like, even if a league game was postponed and then they go, all right, we'll give the 2 points to whoever by a coin toss. Like, they'd be up. Like, so
yeah.
It just, that's what I'm like, I'm either go all in on it or look at moving the league back a little bit and then, you know, giving the provincial championship more, you know, room to breathe and everything like that, because that is the main competition for the provinces level.
Yeah, exactly. No, I completely agree with everything you've said there. And I was even agreeing with what Aaron was saying there. Like, I don't see, like, even playing the All-Ireland finals now in July just seems like it's a bit much. Like, to be moving it so far back from the first weekend or the third weekend in September back all the way to July. I thought August was actually a perfect time for the All-Ireland finals. Like for me, Galway Limerick in 2018, it was the first year that they had the finals back in August. For me, that was absolute perfect timing. Like you said, it won't be clashing with a large majority of club championships realistically. You know, like, it might affect the counties involved to some bit of a degree, but as we've seen, they get their championship still wrapped up in plenty of time anyway. So I don't see why the All-Ireland finals, I don't see why everything is so rushed at this point. Like, even I can remember last year in the club championships, and ourselves and Nafina having to play 3 weekends in a row in the club championship, and other teams, like, it was much better this year that you had 2 weeks spaced out to actually get a bit of time to yourself. So I don't know. I think we could be spacing out the league a bit more, spacing out the championship a bit more. And if you're going to give respect to these competitions, then give respect to them, give them the proper chance. Otherwise, then just scrap them and just go back to counties finding their own individual challenge matches.
I think, yeah, because the other thing as well, what Conlett said on the broadcast, Aaron, is that, like, teams are going to be playing challenge games anyway. Like, we all know that this is what counties are doing at this time of year. Players that aren't playing colleges, players that do have a bit of time. This is when managers are using this, you know, but then that brings me back to my point. Then could it be a situation of move the All-Ireland final into August, move the championship up a little bit, move the league up a little bit, and make room for these competitions?
Absolutely, yeah, like, definitely. And even, like, if worst came to worst, like, they could play the game, you know, like, behind closed doors somewhere, something of that nature, refund the supporter, so at least there's a match still taking place. But it is interesting, like, with the O'Byrne Cup as well. I don't know how it works in some of the other preseason cups, but, like, they have the Shield as well. So, you know, like, even if you lose a game, there's another game still after that. So even if a team tries to pull out, like, there's still another game actually that they'll still need to play. And that's even why, like, even with Westmeath, Longford, like, they probably should have just nearly had that as a straight knockout game, then, you know, scrap the Shield, play that game again, you know, like, on a different week or whatever. But yeah, they just need to push it back, to be honest. Like, I'd be in agreement as well. Like, if the O'Byrne Cup went, you know, like I wouldn't, like last year it wasn't there, didn't really think too much about it or miss it, you know. It's just when games are there and, you know, a few friends or whatever, like will we go, and you're like, yeah, sure, why not? But at the same time, if the game wasn't on this weekend, I wouldn't have really cared that much, and I don't think many of others would as well, you know. So if they do have to scrap it, then fine, but you know, you can't have it, get rid of it, bring it back, but then half-arse it, you know what I mean? They need to kind of kind of have a bit more of a plan. And it is kind of like it is a bit mental that nobody actually thought that this was a possibility. Do you know what I mean? Like first week in January, you know, first weekend in January, and especially a lot of the games are being played in like club grounds as well. So, you know, a lot of the pitches won't be absolute top best, you know. So it's mad that nobody thought of like a contingency plan or something. If these things happen, what will we do? It's like as if nobody thought of anything, and then last minute they panicked, and some owl out at the back, like, just what about a coin toss? And then like, yeah, sounds good. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like, pick a number between 1 and 3.
Yeah. Like it's just it's a little bit mental. Like, and you do feel bad for the fans that like went to some of these games. Hopefully, they're all
especially because at this time of year as well, man, like a lot of players are getting their debut for county. And especially like a lot of families would travel down to this game wanting to see like their son or daughter play in the county games for the first time ever. Like it's a real proud family moment. If they travel all the way down only to find out the game's not going ahead, and oh well, you picked heads and it was tails, so you're actually out of the cup now. So goodbye. Yeah. Like I don't really know how I would take that if it was someone in my family that was playing for the first time ever, everything like that. So that's my kind of thing. I think what we're getting at is either go all in and move the inter-county season back into August and give the competition some time to breathe, or move the league back and give the fans clearly what they want is they want inter-county action now. So give it to them a little bit earlier. That's what I'd be kind of saying. But I think that's what we're all in agreement on. We have a fantastic question in here from Mike L8998 is the access what's popping up as. Great question. Liam, does the massive success of Galway clubs in all 4 codes over the last 25, 30 years compared to their county just disprove the connection between club and county success? Obviously, that's across all 4 codes. We've had Currafin winning 3 in a row in the men's football. We've had Kilkerran and Clonbyrne winning 5 in a row in the LGFA. We've had Portumna and their success. The Galway hurlers did get 1 All-Ireland out of it. In Camogie, that's the exception. They've won, you know, a few All-Irelands in the last 10 years, including this year. And then, of course, Sarsfields and Athenry have been very successful on the club. We'll get to Athenry in a minute. But that's a really good question. In the other 3 codes, is it a case study in that?
There absolutely is. And I've taught this for a very long time with club and county. Like the difference in it is absolutely astonishing. Like a lad who absolutely shines on All-Ireland final day for his county could be absolutely shambolic for his club the next week or for that season, to be honest with you. And like I've taught this for a number of counties and a number of clubs, to be honest. I mean, you could take all 3 of our counties and clubs. I mean, like Cúilín and Nafina have both won All-Irelands, both being Dublin clubs in the hurling. But then obviously Dublin haven't won an All-Ireland in a long time or haven't won a Leinster for a while. With Offaly, like I nearly don't have a prayer thinking Offaly could win a Leinster title or an All-Ireland the last number of years. But then when my club or St. Rhinus or someone goes into the Leinster Championship, I think, yeah, they could probably win it, you know, or even with Cork, you know, like what was it? Was it between 2016 and last year, 2024, that there was no Cork club team that won a match in the Munster Championship, but yet Cork have been in how many finals in the last 15 years? Do you know, like it does show a big disparity between club and county. And like you mentioned there, Galway is a big example. I mean, what was their last football All-Ireland? I'm trying to off the top of my head. Was it 2000 or was it 2001? When was their last football?
I think it was 2000.
Yeah, 2001 was the last football. Yeah, for the men's anyway.
Yeah, and they've won 1 hurling All-Ireland. They probably should have won in 2018, but they've won 1 hurling All-Ireland. And then, yeah, like it shows the big difference considering, like you mentioned, Portumna have had their success, St. Thomas's have had their success, Loughrea are in an All-Ireland final now. Do you know, it's absolutely amazing. Scott, like St. Brigids are in the All-Ireland final, but yet who in their right mind, Roger Spain, it's no disrespect to Roscommon, but who in their right mind is predicting Roscommon to win the All-Ireland next year? Do you know what I mean? It's the difference between club and county is absolutely astonishing, to be honest with you. Like even St. Martin's winning the Leinster Club Championship, but yet I don't think Wexford will do much in the Leinster Hurling Championship this year. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely amazing, the big difference between club and county. But look, I think it's the natural beauty of it, though, that your local club, your small town club or whatever, can absolutely rise up through the ranks and win an All-Ireland. But yet, when it comes to your county team, they could just flop out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's the beauty of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, there's a great point made here by Gavin O'Reilly. He says Galway have an easier pathway in the senior club hurling with no province, a direct semi to keep in mind. That's a huge part of it. It's like you look at how over the years, well, when the Cork champions came out, they're playing against Ballygunner, they're playing against Lockmore Castleiney, they're playing against Na Piarsaigh, they're playing against superb teams, and the Piarsaigh and Ballygunner both went on to win the All-Ireland. Like it is a really, really difficult. And then you've got like Cúilín and Ballyhale Shamrocks there winning from Leinster. Like you have to go through those teams, and don't even get me started on Ulster football. Like the absolute war that they have to go through to get out of the province after they win their respective counties. It is interesting. I think maybe there's something behind it that, like, if you're from a county that doesn't have as high a population, but you are still competing at Division 1. So you look at like Roscommon's population is a good example compared to Dublin's population. Dublin have 93 clubs. I don't know off the top of my head how many Roscommon have, but the fact that Roscommon are in Division 1 as along with Dublin quite a lot of the time, that means that like the talent pool is concentrated in fewer clubs, whereas Dublin have, you know, a massive spread of who's playing for the county team. So that's why Brigids and Pádraig Pearses and these teams always tend to have 6-7 lads that are starting for the county team. And that's why they always tend to be strong. I think, Liam, are you still with me? Aaron, it looks to be frozen. Oh, you're back. Peter says here, local legends equal county heroes. GA Hero also says Brigids done well today. Very young team that could dominate over the next few years. I think Brian Stack at 28 is the oldest player on the team. Open for correction. Did notice that Anya Gallagher says 32. That's how many clubs are in Roscommon. Sorry. But I do believe this as well. We'll get to this. Shane says we're going to jump into the games now. With Shane here says, all I can say is Fergal Kelly is lucky that Dingle won because the disallowed goal was the most disgraceful decision I've ever seen. My, it's a very short. Did you see Joe Sheridan's goal in 2010? Nah, I'm only messing. It was a very controversial decision, and we will dive into it. But we're going to start off with the first silverware that has been won in 2026, the first All-Ireland title that has been won in 2026. And this is the only one on a senior level that I got right in the club championship over the weekend. So maybe that's why I'm starting here. I'm only messing. We have to start with the All-Ireland because, wow, what a finale this was between Athenry and St. Finbarrs. Played in really, really tough conditions. The pitch was perfectly split between snow on one side and no snow on the other. But Athenry, after a replay, beat St. Finbarrs and win the All-Ireland Camogie Championship. What a journey it's been for Athenry. They are the All-Ireland Camogie champions. They shaded at the death against St. Finbarrs. It's unbelievable stuff. It's absolutely sensational. They beat Dixborough, beat Sarsfields, and now after a replay, they beat St. Finbarrs as well. They are worthy Camogie champions. Liam, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted for Athenry. And it's nothing against Finbarrs either. I'd have been delighted if they won it as well, to be honest with you. They're a very good club, and I love the fact that they give equal recognition for all four codes down there. So, but by God, they really can't catch a break the last month, Finbarrs, can they, to be honest with you? But again, a similar situation to the first final in Croke Park. You could argue, yes, Athenry absolutely fought to the end. They don't know how to give up. But again, not as big, I feel, as the last day as much as they let it slip by. But you're 4 points up with 15 minutes to go and you're in complete control of the game. You've turned it around from being 2 points down at halftime and you lose out on it again. Like Finbarrs only scored 1 point in the final 15, 20 minutes, which you're giving with the extra time. like that's very poor from their perspective, and considering the players that they have as well. Like Circa McCartan's point on the 45th minute was absolutely sensational over her shoulder. It was an unbelievable score, and I was there thinking the momentum is completely on their side. They're going to go on and win this game now. They have it in the bag. But then, yeah, the fight back from Athenry was absolutely sensational. The way they were drawing fouls, the way they were getting stuck into every single tackle, and some of their scores as well. I mean, Therese Donoghue, I mean, we all know about her. By God, she is some warrior on the pitch. Maybe she'll tog out for another year. You never know. She might be going to she's 50 or 60 at this point. But no, it was absolutely sensational the way that they fought back and won this game, because they were doing well at halftime to be leading by 7 points to 5, but they really couldn't get a hold of Finbars in at the start of the second half. I believe it took them till the 48th minute, 49th minute, 50th minute, possibly even, to get themselves their first score of the second half. But then the final 10 minutes, I mean, their fitness level showed in the end, their desire showed in the end, and yeah, it's an unbelievable achievement for them, to be honest with you, to be All-Ireland champions. And yeah, you know, it was a great advertisement for Camogie as well, the last two finals that we've had. The entire championship has been, to be honest with you. The two semi-finals were excellent. The Leinster final was excellent. The Munster final was brilliant. And yeah, look, congratulations to Athenry. Fully deserved it in the end. And commiserations to Finbars. I'd say they're absolutely delighted to see the back of 2025/start of 26, to be honest.
Yeah, Aaron as well. Talk to me as well about the finale, the climax of the game, the winning score from Clodagh Burke. I don't know how she found herself in so much space. That's probably one thing that every fan of Finbars is wondering, but she executed it really, really well to put them in front. And then Jessica Gill's late free sealed it. And just when I was watching it as well, I was thinking, Liam, when you're talking about how Athenry turned the tide on Finbars and all of a sudden, like every attack was Athenry's, it's amazing the psychology of it. That like the minute Athenry went ahead, all of a sudden they're on the back foot now and Finbars are attacking. And I'm like, what happens? Like, what in the brain happens that all of a sudden Finbars are behind and now they're attacking? But yeah, Aaron, that finale, just walk me through it from Clodagh Burke's score to Jessica Gill's insurance free, and then that's it.
Yeah, it was an incredible finish, really. And it's probably maybe a bit of a trend of the weekend, like having teams, you know, go in front and everything else and not really know how to defend or how to manage it. Like we saw something very similar happen in the Ballybowden Dingle game, maybe a little bit different in Brigids Scottstown, but yeah, it was an extraordinary finish, really. Like just 1 point in the final 15 minutes from St. Finbars. And once again, it was very similar to the drawn game. Like Athenry, just, you know, their never die attitude. Like right at the end, as you said, with Clodagh Burke getting the decisive point, Jessica Gill getting one straight after that. But as we were saying, like even Therese Donoghue was outstanding. Alwyn Rabbit as well, getting a big score sort of towards the end. And yeah, incredible stuff really from an Athenry perspective. And it probably does sum up the year and the season that they've had. Like they've, you know, like we were saying kind of in the preview, like the Bars have probably, you know, fought there, or the Bars have maybe had games won kind of easily enough, you know, like they've had far much more scoring power and far much more dominance in regards to that. But Athenry have maybe had to fought their way through the games a little bit, and you know, like that was very much what they did. Like it was interesting, like they started the game very, very well. There were 6 points to 2 up in the opening 20 minutes. But as Liam was kind of saying there, like the Bars kind of after half time, really, like they really, really kind of stepped up and kind of took over the game. And you were thinking, are Athenry going to have that same, you know, because it's one thing coming back once to draw in a game, but to do it again, yeah, incredibly impressive stuff. And yeah, huge congratulations to Athenry.
You have to give massive credit to Athenry for their mettle, for the steel, and for the composure that they showed when the game went into the melting pot again. You have to give a huge shout. Like the way that game went down the home stretch, the way that they didn't budge, the way that they didn't panic, everything like that. You have to give massive shout to Athenry for their mettle that they showed going down the home stretch. They never panicked, no matter where the game was at. The steel that they showed, the way that Clodagh Burke slotted over that point to put them in front, the way that Jessica Gill slotted over the free to put them clear, and the way that they defended that final Finbars attack. Derbla Higgins is an absolute warrior at centre half back, one of the best players in the country right now, inspirational captain. Therese Donoghue looks like she could still play midfield for Galway. She's absolutely fantastic. And then as well, just a wonderful way for the manager, Joe Rabbit, to put it all as well and make it all. Just a beautiful touch from the manager, Joe Rabbit, as well, to talk about the late Kate Moran in his interview afterwards with RTE. He said she's the extra 16th player that we had there in the drawn game, 6 points down, and again today, 4 points down, came back to win by 2. So referring to Kate Moran, of course, who tragically passed away as their 16th player. And no doubt Kate would have been on the field was she not taken from us. So a beautiful way to put it there for Joe Rabbit. I'm delighted for Athenry. They've been on a hell of a journey, and there's no question about it. I'm delighted for Athenry. The journey they've been on to beat Sarsfields, beat Dixborough, to nearly have it taken from them as well at the last hurdle, but to fight back and get the draw and get the second day out, and the way they fought back to win it. This is a sweet one, and they're worthy All-Ireland champion. They're worthy All-Ireland champions. Congratulations to all involved. Yeah, I was stumbling over my feet there with that one. Liam, when you look back on it, where's the key? Where's the difference? How did they win?
Well, they simply won because they had the belief, to be honest with you. Like, you can talk tactics all you want, or you can talk about matching up players or whatever, but look, I don't want to say the Bars maybe thought they had it won. I feel like that's maybe what let them down the last day. But that was kind of the thing that we probably leaned on the day of that final. We're thinking, who was this going to benefit? You know, who was the draw going to benefit the first day going into the second day and having the Christmas period? Do the Bars learn more that the game's not over till the game's over and they can't let it slip? Or do we learn more about Athenry and their fitness levels and their never say die attitude? It was a strange, I think it both happened again here. Look, there's nothing between these two teams. Let's be honest with you. There's absolutely nothing between these two teams. They're both fabulous teams, and Finbars would have been worthy All-Ireland winners as well. But I just think Athenry, like, they just went those extra few yards, even drawing the last couple of fouls in the game as well, and just having that extra bit of belief. Maybe Finbars didn't have that belief in the end. Maybe I don't know. Look, I don't know the Finbars dressing room or anything like that, or what they were thinking coming down the home stretch. But Athenry,
you were right on some level. They wobbled. When Athenry went at them, they wobbled. Like, to not score in the final 15 minutes, that's where they have to have regrets there.
Oh, 100%. But yeah, look, Athenry, they just have better use of the ball in the end. They were creating space for themselves a lot easier. But that's all down to work rate, and that's all down to intelligence as well. They have great experience in that team at the moment. Like, they have a lot of top-class players in this team. Jessica Hill, Trace Donoghue, these types of players. Clodagh Burke, who I rate very, very highly as well. Like, they have a lot of really serious... Owen Rabbit as well. Like, they have some really talented players in this team, but they also know how to win as well. So I can imagine that Cork are sick of Galway in Camogie terms the last couple of months as well now. This is the second time that an All-Ireland final has been decided and it's gone the way of Galway. But look, for me, just absolute desire to not give up, to be honest with you. I think that's a lesson as well for every other team this year. Like, you could be down, you could be out, but once you still have a bit of fight in you, still have a bit of spirit, and look, maybe fitness as well. Look, the Athenry are a very fit team. They're absolutely able to go the distance, and that's proven by the fact that look at the teams that they knocked out to get to this stage. But yeah, for me, just an unwavering desire to quit. For me, was the big difference there. And look, maybe Finbars, and look, it's no fault of their own. Look, I feel like every team in the world who has lost games narrowly at the end has probably had those thoughts in their minds of, maybe did we get carried away? Did we think we had it won or something like that? And you're always going to have those doubts in your head. But for me, I'd rather just focus on the positives for Athenry and just say, listen, they just had a desire to go out and still get the win, even with McCartan levelling it up. I believe it was just after extra time had been announced. But for me, look, Clodagh Burke kind of summed it up perfectly with the way she took her final score in the end. And yeah, for me, work rate and a desire to not die. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think it's absolutely perfectly put that they just were willing to fight to the very end. And you look at it, and that's in the prediction. That's why I shaded it to them, because that's exactly how the SARS game had gone. That's exactly how the Dixborough game had gone. And it was how the drawn final went. And if you played that game for another 5 minutes, Athenry would have won. And it was right there for them. And I did think that they were going to get over the line, and they did. Mike said so many links to the Athenry team that won 3 All-Irelands in 5 years in the late 90s, 2000s. Joe Rabbit was captain for 2 of them, similar to the Stars' father-daughter links to their double All-Ireland wins. Absolutely. Peter says Athenry's composure was key. Bars were still stuck mentally in the drawn final. Galway's hurler, Pádraig Mannion, is the Athenry coach. So it's not a bad man to have on the sidelines there from an Athenry perspective. But yeah, that is where we are going to leave it there. Athenry, All-Ireland Camogie champions for 2025/26. It was nearly wrapped up in 2025, but they had to go to a replay. Fair play to everyone involved. Incredible journey. And they'll celebrate tonight. I didn't even mention, actually, Alwyn Rabbit, how on earth she was playing, given how injured her left leg looked to be. She absolutely epitomizes as well the fighting spirit of everyone involved in that club. Fair play, unbelievable achievement, unbelievable journey. Now we're going to move on to the All-Ireland Men's Senior Football Championship semi-finals. We had two crackers here. One of the bets of the weekend that was put on our weekend preview show was for both games to go to extra time, and it very, very nearly came through. And we're going to start off with the one, lads, that actually did go to extra time. Aaron, we didn't have a great weekend on predictions for these two games. Matthew got them right, both of them right. You have to give hats off to Matthew for calling both of them spot on. But the one caveat I will say is I don't know how on earth Ballybowden did not win this game. Ballybowden St. Enda's losing to Dingle. Dingle 126, Ballybowden St. Enda's 124 after extra time in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Dingle led for the first time in this game when Paul Gainey put them in front with his 2-pointer free at the end of extra time. And then when Mark O'Connor scored his point to put them 2 clear, that was the first time that Dingle were in front in the entire game. Ballybowden led 7-0 after 13 minutes. They led by 115 to 8 points, 6 minutes into the second half. How are they not in the All-Ireland final, Aaron?
Yeah, it was incredible, really. Mental game. Definitely. I suppose, obviously, we've only started the year, but I think when it comes to the end of the year, we'll probably look back at this game as maybe one of the games of the year. To be honest with you, because this just was absolutely incredible. But yeah, to be 9 points up at half time, probably should have been further in front. I do agree with that comment earlier, I think, from Shane in terms of the Dingle goal. I don't know how the referee didn't give that. I think he gave it because he thought it was a double hop. But you can clearly see when you see the replay that he's clearly just catching the ball and it falls on the ground. That way, bounces up off the ground. So yeah, Bowden got away with that as well, to be fair. And the mad thing was, even in the second half, Bowden were getting away with things as well. There was chance, there was that one chance which the Bowden keeper saved, then it hit the post moments after. I think it was Toig the Brown. Then obviously they get the goal from Toig the Brown. But yeah, Ballybowden will be absolutely kicking themselves because they were so dominant. They had so many chances, and even after Dingle got their goal, Bowden were still chipping away with points. Ryan O'Dwyer, was kind of getting a few. McGarry as well, and you still felt like they had them at arm's length. And then I don't know what happened. They kind of just panicked. And even that chance at the end from Colin Basquel, in normal time. Don't get me wrong, it's not an easy free. And given the circumstances, given the pressure, it's certainly not an easy one. But you'd still back a player of his quality to put that over the bar. And he didn't just put it wide, he basically put it out for a line ball. It was incredible, really, how wrong he got it. And yeah, then in extra time, bizarrely enough, you were thinking Dingle are coming in with the momentum. So they're going to be the ones here that are going to start extra time strong. But it actually went the other way. Ballybowden were 3 up. You're thinking, right, they've got it back to where they were. And then again, fair play to Dingle with Paul Gainey in particular, 8 points. He was absolutely outrageous. But yeah, they just panicked. They were shooting for 2-pointers when they didn't even need them at one stage towards the end of the game. And yeah, they completely panicked. And I think it probably Matthew, to give him credit, was probably right, in fairness, in saying about Ballybowden maybe not having had those tests, although they have had those tests in Leinster. I think, or although they have had those tests in Dublin, you could see kind of very visibly towards the end that Dingle have been in these battles, whereas Ballybowden haven't been.
Well, apart from the Dula games, the one thing I will say is that I'm not someone to I threw this into our group chat that I said, look, the good thing about this game is that you don't look stupid for picking Bowden and you don't look stupid for picking Dingle, regardless of who wins in extra time. Both teams have clearly shown that they can beat each other. But the reality is I'm now not going to go back and say, oh, I shouldn't have picked Ballyboden, because as you said, Colin Pascal definitely has the capabilities to slot over that free at the end of full time. And if he does, Ballyboden win. And then we were right. So I don't think it's worth looking back on and being like, oh, well, Dingle were always going to win. They weren't. Like, Ballyboden definitely let this slip. Peter says Bowden were halfway back up the M8 with it in the bag. Gavin says never write off Dingle is the lesson we can all learn, but you have to admire the fight and determination they have in their last 2 games. That's the thing. There's 2 different ways to look at this. Dingle showed unbelievable fight to win this game. You can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it that Bowden threw it away, or you can look at it that Dingle just never, ever, ever stopped fighting, never stopped believing that they could get over the line. When you look at the situation they were in, trailing 7 points to 0 after 13 minutes, trailing 14 points to 5 at half time, trailing 115 to 8 points after 36 minutes. And then the hammer blows that they had with the goal being disallowed controversially in the first half, everything like that, going down the home stretch, it looked like for every beauty that Tom O'Sullivan would kick over, that Ballyboden would have an answer from a Ross McGarry or something like that. Yes, Ballyboden may have finished it off at the end of full time with that free that they had, but Paul Gainey's 2-pointer was one of the best points I've seen, I think, in my life. It was unbelievable, that kick, to send it then into extra time. And then for Bowden to go ahead and Dingle once again to come back at them and be like, no, we're going to the All-Ireland final, mate, regardless of what happens. And the first time they led in the entire game, including normal time and extra time, was when Paul Gainey put over that 2-pointer free to push them clear. It's unbelievable the fighting spirit that they showed. And the thing is, Liam, I was saying this to you off air. Like, a lot of people will look at this and go, oh, well, Ballyboden should have closed the game out. Is this just the way that Gaelic football is now with the new rules, that you can be up by 7 points and it just doesn't matter? The game's not over. Is it gone like basketball, gone like hurling now, that a big lead against a top quality team, you're still not safe?
Big leads mean absolutely nothing in football anymore, to be honest with you. But that's the beauty of it. Like, how many games last year or the years before gone that a game could be 5 points to 3 and you're thinking, oh, well, the team that has 5 points has already won the game. Do you know, unless there's a miraculous goal at the end or something. Whereas now, I mean, the biggest example, I know Meath won the game in the end, but I mean, Meath were 17-5 up against Dublin last year, and yet Meath won the game by 4 points. Do you know what I mean? They won it by absolutely nothing in the end. Do you know, Meath were 10 points down to us at halftime. They came back and won it by 7. Do you know, the leads in football now mean absolutely nothing, to be honest with you. And this game is the biggest proof of that. I mean, when Bowden got their goal, I was sitting there thinking, right, this game's over. Dingle are gone. There's no way they're coming back from this now. And I didn't even think they were coming back after conceding the first 7 points or being 9 points down at halftime. And I would love to know what injury Paul Gainey had that kept him out before the game for him to then come on and do what he did. If I tried doing what he did in the last minute of normal time, I'd have torn my hamstring. And I don't have great hamstrings to begin with. But like the way he just threw it up and just kicked it, all like I don't know how far out he was. And for it to just like, you could just see it the moment it was like landing down, you're like, this is going over, this is going over. And the roar from the Dingle crowd is absolutely sensational. But it just shows you the quality of player that he is, to be honest with you. But you mentioned him there, Tom O'Sullivan. My God, some of the points that he got outside the boot, there's particularly one down in the far corner towards the stand side, one of the stand sides, the larger stand, and the way he just kicked it outside of his boot and it just curled in inside over the bar. Like, that's just class, to be honest with you. You can try and stop him all you want, but when you have quality like that in your feet, and you've quality like that in your team, then it's unbelievable. So, no, you got to give great credit to Dingle. And like you mentioned there, you wouldn't look stupid predicting either one of these teams to have won at the weekend. Me personally, if I was on during the week, I was sick during the week, but if I was on, I probably would have gone Ballyboden, I'll be honest with you, just because I thought they were very impressive in the Leinster Championship, and I thought maybe if the Bars had gone through, I thought maybe they could have taken down Ballyboden, but I didn't know if Dingle had enough potentially to take them down. But like, we wouldn't have looked stupid either way, no matter who we did pick. And the fact that Dingle only went in front in the second half, halfway through the second half of extra time, it's just absolutely mental. It shows you how cruel sport can be, to be honest with you. And like I mentioned there, look, Pascal with that kick at the end. Look, I could tell straight away he had missed it by the goalkeeper's reaction to going and grabbing the cone straight away. But I didn't realize how badly he missed it until you saw the cameras moving down to see how far the ball went wide. But like you mentioned there, he is a player that can kick a ball over the bar from there any other day of the week. It's just like you don't realize like the pressure that he's under to kick that ball. You know, like it's severe pressure to be either sending your club into an All-Ireland final or you're going to extra time. Or if it had been another scenario, they were 1 point down. You know, that's either to save your club season or you're a club's hero. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of nerve to even be stepping up and taking the free, to be honest with you. But yeah, look, there were some fantastic performances from Dingle in the second half to come back, and even to come back in extra time, like you mentioned. And yeah, if there's one thing for certain, Brigids could be 15 points up at half time in the All-Ireland final. And I suppose much like Eric O'Kieran last year against Cúilín, how much they were down at half time, I won't be sitting there saying Brigids have this one, not with this Dingle team and not with the energy that they have. And you look at the players that they have, and I suppose a big question now, I don't think it's a big question. I think he's going to play it anyway, but O'Connor, is he going to play the All-Ireland final? I think he is. I think they're going to.
He has to.
Like you don't let him play a Munster final and All-Ireland semi-final, and then All-Ireland fans say no. Surely Geelong are just going to say, or Geelong, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but surely they're Geelong. Yeah, surely they're just going to say, yeah, play your final. Like, go ahead. Like, Jesus, like this is a absolutely humongous day for your club, humongous day for yourself. And yeah, I think we're now in for a cracker of a final, to be honest with you. And you know what? Probably an early prediction, but I reckon Dingle could actually do it.
It's weird because there was a part of me, and I don't mean any disrespect to Bowden or to Brigids, but there was a part of me that was thinking, you know what? If we get a Scottstown versus Dingle final, that means regardless of who wins, someone's winning the first ever All-Ireland club title in their club's history. Yeah. Like, how magic is that? And that was the case with Cúilín versus Eric O'Kieran last year. I remember thinking, just purely because before I did my research for the preview, I remember thinking, Eric had definitely won one because they had Peter Canavan and like players like that. And they actually hadn't. And I was thinking, oh my God, so Cúilín or Errigal, one of them is going to win the football for the first time ever. And regardless, you're guaranteed unbelievable celebrations and a historic day for whichever club wins. Now, that's not knocked by, like, Brigids, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're won in 2013 when they beat Ballymun Kickham's. That was 2012, 2013. But that's their only ever All-Ireland club title, isn't it? And interestingly, Senan Kilbride is still playing, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. Shane says this as well. Off Paul Ganey's left as well, with his calves causing him trouble all year in the freezing cold. So that's his weak foot. Like, and he's belting it over from way outside the 2-point arc, like just ridiculous. Like it was the type of kick where, like, the minute he kicked it, you were like, fuck off. You're not kicking it from there, like. Do you know what I mean? No way he's got that one. But yeah, sensational stuff. And Brian Tyers on commentary as well when he was saying fog on arch, like that translates to like get out, like don't like he couldn't believe when he kicked it. It was unbelievable. And yeah, Dingle are into the All-Ireland final. It's just unbelievable stuff. Aaron, then looking at it from a Bowden perspective, do you ever hear people saying about like just the vibes are off and stuff like that? There was one moment where Ryan Basquel had a free to put Ballybowden 5 ahead. And it was similar to the one that Colm took that. And like, not only did he miss it, he ballooned it wide. Like, just, it can happen to the best forwards in Ireland. It just wrong hit, wrong place of the boot. And it just goes flying wide. And then from that very kick out, Tom O'Sullivan skips down and kicks over a lovely 2-pointer. Now, all of a sudden, the gap has gone from potentially being 5 to 2 points. And it's just like, Dingle are coming back. Like, there's something, they're wobbling a bit. What were the key moments that you looked at and thought that's where Dingle got a massive step back into the game, or Bowden let them back into the game maybe?
Yeah, like I think that was definitely a big moment, but it was probably nearly after Ballybowden's goal a little bit, like, or even throughout the majority of the half. Like, when you were looking at Brigids and Scottstown, and we'll get onto that a little bit later, like, Brigids had kind of a similar lead, probably even a shorter lead with Scottstown, but Brigids were able to manage that far better. Any ball that was going in, they were getting men inside their own 45, they were turning the ball over, they were aggressive in the tackle. Ballybowden weren't that at all. Like, any long ball that was going in there, you felt like Dingle could have got a couple of goals there. And that moment where, as I said, where it hits the post and the keeper's forced to make a save, like, that felt kind of significant as well, because it just felt like every time Dingle ran at Ballybowden, they were cutting them apart and they were cutting them open. Yeah, and as you said, the Tom O'Sullivan point was absolutely key as well. Like, there was a couple of misses for Ballybowden. Like, it wasn't just a Colm Basquel one. There was one I remember a couple of minutes earlier from Ross McGarry. There was a 2-point effort I remember from Dara Sweeney that went wide. And look, Ballybolden have had a phenomenal year. And I think when we look back at this year for Ballybolden, they'll still look back with, a lot of praise and everything else. And they'll look back at the winning the Dublin Football Championship and how impressive that was. I think it was fitness levels maybe as well. Like you saw, like Ryan Basquel was having a brilliant game, and I know he got married recently as well. So you can't really blame him for not finishing the full 70. But he was having an incredible game. I thought like you could just see with the fitness a little bit of some of the players that kind of did die out a little bit.
Maybe it was a few pints at the wedding. I don't know. Over the Christmas, the Christmas and your wedding.
Exactly.
Christmas
That's what I
Imagine trying to keep the lads off the beer. Imagine trying to keep the lads off the beer if they've got a wedding and Christmas and New Year's.
It's not possible.
That would have been tough.
I don't care who you are. It's not possible.
That would have been very tough. Well, I have to say, massive congratulations to Dingle. They have absolutely, put out a 5-star display, especially considering the position that they found themselves in. Like, there's no getting around it. They started the game terribly, and the way that they dug themselves out of that hole and never, ever, ever stopped going, the determination, they never let it die. Hat off to them. Worthy winners of this game, and they're into the All-Ireland final where they will play against the Roscommon and Connacht champions, St. Brigids. St. Brigids are back in the All-Ireland final where they were 2 years ago, where they lost to Watty Grange Glen, of course, in that final. They're back seeking to make amends for that. They beat Scottstown by 116 to 112. St. Brigids shade Scottstown in this semi-final. Aaron, I'll go to you with this one first. It was always going to be a tight game. What made the difference?
I think it was interesting. Like with Scottstown, they have all the individual talent, the individual brilliance, as we know. With Rory Beggan, with Conor McCarthy, Jack McCarran. Jack McCarran scored 1-3 today. But with Brigids, it's the system, in my opinion. It's the way they keep the ball, the turnovers, and like when you look at Rory Beggan in particular and the influence that he has in games, like he only scored 1 point today. And Brigids in particular, like their press on Rory Beggan's kickouts was phenomenal, really. Like, and they really, really limited Rory Beggan. Like there was different men tackling him each time. There was no in particular player who was going up to him to turn the ball over. They must have dispossessed him maybe 2, 3, 4 times while he was on the ball. Ben O'Carroll nearly lobs him as well. And by the way, what a goal that would have been. And fair play to Beggan actually for still managing to get back and save it. And not only did he save it, like he didn't even turn it over the bar. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that's how impressive that was. But yeah, I thought that was huge because like you've seen with Beggan and the influence. Like he scored 11 points in the Ulster final, only 1 point today. Discipline as well from Brigids. They didn't give much away in terms of frees, in terms of fouls. They didn't give those opportunities to Scottstown. And I thought the approach play and tactically they kind of got that right. And then, like as we said, like they have a huge wealth of scores, like Brigids. Like you Ben O'Carroll with a point, but he probably wasn't as effective maybe as you would think of a player of his quality in this game. So you had Bobby Nugent who chipped away with 7 points. Paul McGrath as well, a wing back, was absolutely brilliant. So I think for Brigids it was their tactical approach. I think that was the difference.
We're getting a lot of comments in as well, and it's interesting that you say that, Aaron, because definitely Brigids had a plan for Rory Beggan. That was quite clear, the way that they managed to influence his game. Anya Gallagher says that shows how much Scottstown rely on Rory. Peter says, lads, what's your take? And I'll show this one to you. Lads, what's your take on Beggan's outfield antics? He was the full forward by the end of it. They either play him out the field or he stays put. Madness. I'd play him out the field. He got caught near the end for pace, Beggan at 8, 9, or 11. Like, what's your take on that? Because we can't switch because Scottstown lost. Up until this point, it's worked. Do you know what I mean? He's been their best player throughout the year. He's been sensational. The reality is, Brigids just put pressure on Rory Beggan in a way that no one else really has done. And I wonder now, is Gabriel Bannigan sitting there thinking, shit, have they kind of let the cat out of the bag of how to go after Beggan maybe in inter-county level?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Like it just shows how mad. At the same time, this is the other side of football now. It shows how mad the game has gone. That, like you mentioned there, he's been playing mostly outfield in the game rather than in goals, and it shows how much the role of a goalkeeper is evolving. Because it's similar in soccer. Years ago, you're just told stay in your goal line and don't move an inch. You get a nosebleed if you go outside of your area. Whereas now, keepers are running up the field taking 65s or 45, kicking 45. Or they may as well be kicking 65s now as well. They're capable of doing that, and they're getting involved in the play. They're in the build-up. They have to be as fit as a fiddle at this point. A large majority of goalkeepers now are playing outfield for their clubs. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know Began is obviously playing in goals here, but like you mentioned there, I mean, it's crazy to be sitting here saying that we limited the goalkeeper to 1 point. Like, how we weren't saying that 5-10 years ago. We limited the goalkeeper to 1 point. Could you imagine we were saying that about? I know Stephen Cluxton took frees for Dublin for years, but you imagine if like Kerry's tactic was we got to stop Cluxton scoring 3-4 points today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's absolute madness, But yeah, look, I it's a strange one. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I think, look, your goalkeeper's job, first of all, is the goalkeeper, and that's that. And if you're someone like a Niall Morgan, if you're someone like a Rory Began, and you're Stephen Cluxton in his prime, if you're able to kick the ball over from 45, 65 yards out, then absolutely brilliant. And sure, you could be in the build-up from time to time, maybe in a careful, cautious way. But like, you're asking too much then if you're playing in midfield as a goalkeeper, or if you're playing on the other half of the field. For me, it just doesn't work. And like I said, Bannigan there now could be thinking to himself, especially in Ulster as well now this year, with how competitive Ulster is going to be this year. And I firmly like this Monaghan team as well. I think Monaghan can potentially do something this year, both in Division 1 and in the Ulster Championship. I thought they did well last year in last year's championship. I thought they were maybe unlucky not to beat Donegal, just a disastrous second half last year let them down. But this could expose a lot of tactics. This could just expose a lot of what Bannigan's planning could be for the first round in a couple of weeks' time in the league. But yeah, look, it's an unfortunate perspective from Scottstown. Look, it'll probably work for them in the Monaghan Championship next year, or this year again, or could work for them in the Ulster Championship to get out of Monaghan as well. But against a Brigids team that are so sharp defensively, they have a very good system in place. You've Cunningham in charge, who knows the game inside out. You're just leaving yourself exposed, to be honest with you.
Yeah, nah. I do think, look, the reality is you're always going to run the risk. And we've seen like the worst example of it when Donegal took Oran Lynch to task in the Donegal-Derry game a couple of years ago, when Donegal absolutely ransacked for goals. They weren't getting caught in that way, but there was a couple of times where you had to put the skates on and get back. And I do think you are playing with fire a little bit there, but Began's so good that it's kind of worth it. The only thing that I would think is the more running he's doing, surely that is impacting his legs when it comes to taking those big boomer kicks that he takes on. Surely the less running he's doing, the more power he has in his legs then to kick those ones over from 50 meters. It's really, really interesting. And again, we don't know. And like the reality is Dave McKaig has done a sensational job as Scottstown manager, and he knows how to get the best out of Began, clearly by the 11 points he kicked in the Ulster final. But the reality is in this game, I think Brigids just had a different approach, and it was successful for them. Peter here talking about Brian Derwin's goal, contender for goal of the year. Jack McCarron's goal was absolutely class. What a ball into him as well. And the way he turned onto his left, bang, into the bottom corner. Unbelievable finish. We were treated to some spectacular scores. But as Anya Gallagher here saying, how did Sean Trundle block that ball? Lads, when you're talking about what wins All-Irelands, that block from Sean Trundle is the stuff that All-Ireland winning teams are made out of. You think Conor Gormley's block for Tyrone in 2003 in that All-Ireland final, this was akin to that. Like, just the way he managed to get back on the line, perfectly timed to stop McCarron's shot. If Brigids go on and win the All-Ireland now in the final against Dingle, this is the moment that they look back on and go, it could have all fallen apart in that moment. But Sean Trundle, what a heroic piece of defending that was. Aaron, I'll go to you.
Yeah, it was almost kind of like similar to maybe Robert Doyle's block with the Tipperary hurlers against Kilkenny, like right at the end. Could be something you look back on. And yeah, it was a huge moment. Like, I think Scottstown would have been within a point if that had gone in from Jack McCarron. So yeah, an incredible
momentum as well.
Yeah, and it was one of them games as well where like Scottstown never got any like we were speaking about Tom O'Sullivan's point for Dingle, like a big point where the fans are kind of like jumping up and like the momentum is really swinging. Like Scottstown never really got anything like that. They never really got a big 2-pointer or like a goal or anything like that in the second half. They just kind of switched the momentum. It always felt like Brigids were fairly comfortable. So if that goal goes in, especially with some of the players that Scottstown have there as well, like that could have been absolutely huge. So yeah, an incredible block from Trundle, and huge moment for Brigids.
Peter here saying Trundle's reaction was unreal. His timing was perfect. Liam, like there's no doubt about it. Once we seen it, it was straight into the group chat. Oh my God, how on earth does he manage to get back there in time? Yeah. His defending as well, just when you're talking about his composure to not run after McCarron, his composure to read how the situation was going to go in a split second to go, okay, he's going to go around the keeper. I need to go to the line and not follow McCarron. Like in the most chaotic of moments, he was ice cool, knew where he needed to be. Outstanding defending.
Outstanding defending, and it's the old phrase from, was it Ferguson, attackers win you games, defenders win you championships, and that is exactly what Brigids needed at that moment in time. And yeah, look, it just shows how strong Brigids are, to be honest with you, and it shows how well set up they are, that every man knows their role and every man knows where to be in the right moment at the right time. And yeah, look, that's the stuff that managers absolutely adore. It's the stuff that, in a weird way, fans nearly love seeing that stuff more than they do seeing a score, because at times preventing a score and going that extra mile is nearly, like you mentioned there, Robert Doyle's block on the line last year. I mean, for one, that saved the GEA more than anything, whereas this one maybe didn't to a slight degree, but still, no, it was a remarkable moment in the game, and Scottstown will be desperate about that. And I saw one comment as well, which actually was kind of interesting, seeing that the Ulster Championship probably took a lot out of Scottstown as well in comparison to Brigids, who didn't have to perform to the same level. Obviously, they had a very tough Ulster Connacht final, but
just the comment.
Yeah, exactly. Just for Scottstown, I mean, you mentioned it there. Ulster in both inter-county and club level is so difficult for every single player up there. It's a trek to win it, and you saw how much Scottstown needed to go to the bottom of the barrel to win the Ulster final against Kilcoo, and have to go to extra time and everything like that. Whereas for Brigids, I mean, look, I know they had a replay in the Roscommon final, which this all just hurts even more, considering Pádraig Pearses could have beaten Brigids and I could be looking like a genius right now instead of Aaron. But yeah, it's but no, Brigids are a fantastic team. They're so well set up. And for Cunningham, I believe, didn't Cunningham beat Brigids in 2013 or something like that? I think I saw it earlier.
With Gary Castle.
Yeah, with Gary Castle. And now he's led Brigids to an Ireland final. I mean, swings and roundabouts as well. It's a small world. But yeah, no, look, Brigids are in fantastic shape going into this final. It's going to be a very hard one to call, to be honest with you, because Dingle is just chaotic, whereas Brigids are a lot more calm. So it could make for a very interesting view, to be honest with you. But yeah, look, that block and saving his team, you love to see it from a supporter's point of view and from a manager's point of view as well. He'll be getting the biggest pat in the head tonight. There's no question.
Yeah, speaking of the management, Anthony Cunningham made some brave decisions going down the home stretch. Gavin talking here about let's go for Brigids to win this game. Ben O'Carroll only scoring a point, which was insane. But I found there's so much more he can give. Like going down the home stretch when the game looked like it might go into extra time and you might need a winner or something, he takes off Ben O'Carroll. Then he takes off Bobby Nugent. And I was like, what's going on here? Why is he taking off all of their best players? It's like Scottstown needing a winner and taking off Jack McCarron and taking off Rory Began or something like. But it's really, really interesting. Kilcuddy is saying Scottstown dominated the last 15 but only scored 2 points still. Rue those missed chances. Still a fantastic year. I mean, when you put it like that, they were on top a lot. They were winning a lot of kickouts and they weren't turning those chances into scores. And you do look at it and you go, Matthew said it in his prediction that you can't keep scraping through games. You can't keep doing it. Eventually you're going to get caught. And was it just a case that, like, as Gavin said there, that the tariffs that they would have had to pay to get through those Ulster Championship games on their body, on their fitness, on everything like that, do you think that in the last 15 minutes, the gas was just kind of running out and their shot selection wasn't as good and their finishing wasn't as good?
Yeah, I think so. Like I think it was one of them. Like probably like where having come through it and shown the resilience and everything else of coming through Ulster. It's probably somewhat similar with Ballybowden a little bit, but maybe the opposite way. In the sense that like Scottstown, they did look a little bit dead on their feet. They looked a little bit gone. They didn't look like the match sharpness wasn't quite there. And fair play to Brigids, like for kind of hanging on. So absolutely, yeah. Like I think it did make a big difference.
No, it certainly did. There's one thing as well, Shane here saying, if this is true, this is really cool. Saying Dingle's manager, I didn't know this. Dingle's manager, Pádraig Corcoran, was born in Dublin and played underage for Ballybowden before his family moved to Dingle. So it is mad how small the world is and how it swings around the best. I didn't know that. If that's true, that's mental. Like, imagine coming up against your boyhood club in the All-Ireland semi-final with the club that you moved to.
And very, just on that as well, like Pa Warren, who played for Ballybowden, scored 3 points in the first half. He's actually a Kerry man as well. And I think he might have been, I don't know if he was involved with Dingle or something, but yeah, someone was explaining to me there's some mad connection there as well. So it's it's crazy. Like.
You're telling me that someone that wasn't from Dublin was playing for a Dublin club? No, I don't believe you, man. I don't believe it. That never happens, man.
Everyone's was born and raised in Ballybowden, man. Yeah, no, that's cool. Like Kilmacud Crokes all grew up.
Shane Walsh,
Cool actually did, to be fair. But
Cúilín did, and that's why I loved Cúilín's All-Ireland win, because those 15 lads that started and the subs that came in were all Cúilín lads. No one was transferred in on that Cúilín team, which made their Dublin win even a breath of fresh air, because Kilmacud, and to be fair, you have to give a shout to Ballymun Kickham's as well. When they won it in 2020, to the best of my memory anyway, I could be wrong, but I don't think they had anybody who was not from Ballymun playing for them. So that's the kind of thing that I like to see in the game. I get that transfers need to happen sometimes. My take on it always is, okay, does the inter-county player really have to go to like Kilmacud? We've got 93 clubs in Dublin. Do you really have to go to the champions? Like, can you not go to someone who's kind of a good club? But I get it. I get why individually you'd want to go there, but that's a wider issue, no question about it. Tig here, yeah. Pa Warren played for Kerry in 2022 and 2023 in the National League a few years ago. Mental. And interesting as well, he did a really good job on Tom O'Sullivan, and then when he came off, Tom O'Sullivan really grew into the contest. DC 501 here saying Jack, Micheál McCarville and Shane Carey all had good goal chances. Scottstown could have easily won it today. The Dublin commuter town of Dingle. There's plenty of Dublin commuter towns around the place. You have a great comment in here as well from Anya Gallagher. And this is what is different for St. Brigids versus Dingle, because St. Brigids have unfinished business with the All-Ireland club final. She says, look at the Glen players when they won the All-Ireland. They came back a week after. Well, just looking at that, British boys are probably looking at Davy Burke isn't the manager anymore. He'd probably have them in training this week before the All-Ireland final. He'd have them in training with the county. I remember thinking that was mental, though. I didn't think that was a good move. I remember thinking you're going to burn them out, like especially Conor Glass, and people like that. Conor Glenn could actually be a cool name for him. But looking at this, Aaron, from this perspective, last year was a year that broke the chain on that. The previous winners, Glen had lost in the final the year before, then came back and won it. Kilmacud Crokes had lost the final the year before, then came back and won it. And then Kilcoo, lost the year before. Then the pandemic happened, but then when it came back, Kilcoo won it. Last year with Cúilín and Errigal Ciarán, that broke the chain. Brigids, though, they were the last team to lose the final besides Errigal Ciarán that are now back in the final. They have unfinished business with the All-Ireland final, Brigids. They were right there up until Conor Glass's goal. They're back in the final now. They want to settle this.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah, like I do remember, like back in 2024, or not long after Brigids had lost the All-Ireland Club final. I remember a lot of people were kind of tipping Brigids to kind of come back and maybe go and do it in We're in 2025, I suppose, as it was, and go and win it. So yeah, absolutely they do. Look, they have the experience of being in that game, playing in that occasion, and everything else. Ben O'Carroll, a few of the other lads as well, Bobby Nugent and whatnot. Like it is interesting with Ben O'Carroll and Bobby Nugent because I know they are going to be involved, I think, in the Sigerson Cup as well. So how much will they play in that competition? With obviously the All-Ireland final kind of looming as well. Like, was that maybe why they were taken off a little bit earlier in the game? Like that's an interesting one. You don't see many managers think of the bigger picture, but like fair play to Anthony Cunningham if that's why he was actually taking them off. But I don't know if he was thinking of that now.
I think that was it. I think in that moment, I don't think you give a shit about any other competition. I think you just want to get to the final. But I think maybe that was more a case of trying to protect the house a little bit.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but yeah, no, look, absolutely, they'll 100% be ready for it. Look, Dingle will be there as well, and like we said kind of in the build up to the semi-finals, you could make a prediction for any, like no one was that surprised that Brigids won, but no one would have been that surprised if Scottstown won or if Ballybolden had won. Maybe would the only surprise if one team beat another by 10 points or something like that. So yeah, like going into the final, I know we'll predict it when it comes around, but it's a very, very hard final to call.
Oh, it certainly is, no question about it. We'll make the predictions for that in 2 weeks' time. Shane here saying Pa Warner's Gnieve Gwilla man, who made league appearances for Kerry. He's from the same club as the legend Ambrose O'Donovan. Of course, he was captain, wasn't he, in 1985, if I'm not mistaken, when Kerry won the All-Ireland. Davy Burke is Flano's new coach. Gavin says should be a ban on going to Dublin senior clubs, so they're more likely to go to Dublin intermediate clubs and strengthen the championship. I would agree. I think some sort of system where you're not allowed to go to like the top four. Like if they reached the Dublin semi-final last year, I think that should be the cutoff point. Gavin says Dowd said today after the Leitrim game, the Brigids and Strokestown lads will get a rest. I mean, that's probably a breath of fresh air for the lads. They can go on the beer regardless of what happens. Maybe not on the beer, but they can have a little rest after that game. But we're going to move on from that game now. Fair play to St. Brigids, beating Scottstown and progressing to the All-Ireland final. It's going to be some contest. We're going to give a shout as well to the intermediate and the junior semi-finals, of course, which took place across the weekend. Pairing these two together, Liam, I'll go to you first. On Gael tucked 18 points, Salins 114. Sorry to Peter as well. Peter, I'd love to get your take on this game, especially the free at the end. And then in the other semi-final, Liam, Glenullen beat Strokestown 5 goals and 8 points to 2 goals and 8 points. It's a very impressive win for Glenullen when you consider Strokestown only a couple of years ago won the Roscommon Championship Senior. And you're thinking there, you've got St. Brigids in there, Pádraig Pearse is in there. So it's a serious Strokestown team. So the intermediate final of 25-26 is on Gaeltacht against Glenullen.
Yeah, massive congratulations to Glenullen. That's a serious scoreline to be putting up. 5 goals in a semi-final is outrageous, to be honest with you. Strokestown collapsed in the second half. Yeah, geez, that's very tough for them, to be honest with you, because they're a proud historic club. And, like you mentioned there, you look at some of the clubs that are in the Roscommon Championship. So to be taken down a team of Strokestown's pedigree is absolutely amazing. But I mean, I think the big talking point from this is completely on Gaeltacht and the end of that game against Salins, to be honest with you. Kind of like deja vu to Dingle and St. Finbarr's, bringing the ball, was it 30, 40 yards? I think Matthew was saying in the group chat that the difference was they had the option of kicking a 1-pointer or kicking a 2-pointer. But for me, I don't like this rule. I didn't like it last year. I think it's the one thing they need to get rid of in football. Bringing the ball 40, 50 yards up the pitch for the lad to have a free shot at goal. I don't agree with that in the slightest, to be honest with you. And look, it's tough. Look, you wouldn't have to see me being sorry for Kildare side, but for Salins, like, it's very tough because they won the Leinster Championship in very good fashion, to be honest with you. They won that. They had a fantastic second half in their semi-final in Leinster against Clara, and they were unbelievable in their final against the Westmeath champions as well. Like, it's just, to have it taken away from them like that is so cruel, to be honest. Now, I mean, the free at the end, the way it was kicked over was absolutely sensational, especially from the angle. And no different to Gainey in the Munster final as well. The pressure he's under to kick that over the bar. And that's not to draw it again. That's to win the game or your season's over. I mean, fair play to him. But again, like, I don't see how was Emmett Ralph, I believe it was. I don't see how he was able to give the ball back to on Gaeltacht in that position. Like, I could be wrong here, but I don't see how he was able to give the ball back, to be honest with you. Like, it was, for me, ridiculous decision. Like, and this whole thing of handing the ball back to the opposition and trying to be nice and all that, I think I'm going to go full Dunlock Cusack. Bullshit is what I call it. Handing the ball back. Like, no, I hate that rule, to be honest. I'm bringing the ball 50 yards forward. I mean, and Joe Brown, I'd have none of it, to be honest with you. Absolutely none of it.
You see, it's weird. I can kind of get behind the idea of it because, like, especially if you're losing, it used to always really piss me off when like a team would blatantly time waste, blatantly get involved. The shithousery would begin. Oh, someone's hamstring's gone. Oh, someone's contact lens needs to be put in and all this stuff. And I kind of liked measures being made to reduce that somewhat. Oh, my thing is I'm like, I think maybe we could start looking at maybe a little bit of a distinction between not handing the ball back isn't as bad as like standing in the way of someone trying to take the quick free. Like, you know, for example, like 2017 All-Ireland final. And I hate to use this example. Sorry, Aaron. But 2017 All-Ireland final, Dean Rock kicks over the free. The Dublin players just rugby tackled the Mayo players to the ground and wouldn't let them take the kick out and stuff like that. And they were just like, blatantly, we're not letting you. We'll take a yellow card, whatever it takes. We're stopping you from getting this kick out away. That is a situation where I'd be happy for it to be brought up 50 meters. Obviously not in the moment because I want the Dublin to win. But like objectively, cases where teams are being like absolutely getting in the way of you taking the free. They're standing in your way, they're pushing you, or they're dragging your jersey or stuff, or like, do you know what I mean? Situations like that, I can get behind maybe 50 meters. But in a situation where maybe it was a little toss, or like you look like you kind of tried to give the ball back or maybe threw it down, not 50 meters for those ones. Is that possible?
Yeah. I'd say it probably is. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's extremely harsh to be... Cheers, Peter. I just feel like it's extremely harsh that you're being punished. Like, okay, I agree with you. Like, there was a lot of nonsense that was going on with time wasting, and it still happens even to this day. But or lads standing in front of each other or trying to stop each other, jumping up and down, trying to stop the opposition from taking the free quickly. And especially in hurling, a lad will just absolutely rise the ball and go and try to wallop both man and ball, to be honest with you. But I think, like, bring it up 10 yards at best, 15 yards if you have to, but to be bringing it up 50 yards for me, like, you're bringing it up from one end of the pitch to the other in the space of 2 seconds. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, like I don't know, if I was Salins, I was watching the end of it yesterday, and I was just like, if I was Salins right now, I would be pissed off. Now, if you're on Gaeltacht's absolutely brilliant, and I loved seeing the interviews afterwards, and all the interviews were in Irish. That was very good to see. I know it's an Irish channel. Yeah. But the amount of English, obviously, interviews, and that's rich coming from me because I'm no good at Irish. But it was very refreshing to see a team fully speaking Irish after interviews. But yeah, for me, if I was Salins right now, I would not be happy. I'd be cursing that decision, to be honest with you. And look, maybe it's just me, but I'm just not a fan of it at all.
Yeah, no, I think it's even number at all. Well, Galifig den Egin at all. Like, I love when someone has fluent Irish and they win like player of the match and they can do the Reogel of Oscar. So, and trust me, TG Gara there, like if on Gaeltacht to win, it's cha-ching because they all have Irish. Like, Cúilín was like that last year because most of the Cúilín lads went to like Colosh to Own, and that's like a fully Irish school. So Con O'Callaghan has Irish, Padre O'Coffey Byrne has Irish. Like, all of the best players have fluent Irish. So the interviews were perfect for the montages and everything that they were creating at the end. But yeah, Kerry clubs in all three. It's 2024 all over again. As Gavin says, he says, 2024 all over again, but instead of Ulster winning everything, it could be Kerry. So not even a province, it's just one county. The Kingdom certainly is in a bit of a golden era this year. Conor Hand is one to watch this year, absolutely. That score that he got for that 2-pointer was one of the scores of the weekend. Touching as well on the junior semi-finals, Ballymac-Elliott, of course, completing the trio for Kerry, beating Grange Noblin in their semi-final to set up a final with Clocker, Era Og, who beat Kiltima by 213 to 9 points. Aaron, this should be a cracker of a final.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, and especially for Ballymacalligan, like I know Matthew was kind of speaking quite a bit in detail about kind of some of the tragedy that's happened with the club this year and everything else. So it's like it's obviously brilliant for them to kind of go through the final. Like, I didn't see either one of the games now, to be honest with you, so I can't really speak too much in depth on either one of them. And yeah, like as kind of Gavin's saying there and a few other people in the comments, like, yeah, 3 Kerry clubs all into All-Ireland finals, and you know, like God knows, like Kerry win enough as it is, you know, like, can we just give everyone else a chance? You know what I mean? Like, probably going to win the All-Ireland next year as well. He'd be winning the hurling now soon enough. Like, if
Coin toss.
Coin toss, yeah. We'll probably lose that as well, to be fair. But yeah. But yeah, no, look, I look forward to that game as well, the junior final, and yeah, congratulations to both teams.
Absolutely. And Peter here saying Dangany Cooch, the home of the late great Micheál O'Murray, the greatest, along with Micheál O'Hare, the greatest commentator of all time. Those two, absolutely sensational. The magic that they brought to the game. I'm going to run through as well the results from the preseason competitions, lads, and then I'll just ask you to list out your favorites. We talked about the controversies, we talked about the baffling decisions at the beginning of the episode. So if you're joining us now, just go back an hour and 20 minutes and you'll see us talk about what we propose to take care of these situations. But the preseason competitions did kick off for 2026. Running through the results here on Score Bio in the FBD League. This was on Saturday. Mayo beat Sligo 117-111. In the O'Byrne Cup, Offaly beat Carlow 314-39. Liam, you did a piece on that, I seen. Dublin beat Laois 414-117. Meath beat Wicklow 211-112. Kildare beat Wexford 212-9 points. In the McKenna Cup, Monaghan beat Cavan 16 points to 13. Back to the FBD League, Galway beat London 319-4 points, and Longford and Westmeath was cancelled. Going then to today's game, Sligo and London drew 111-14 points in the FBD League. Sligo and London playing on back-to-back days as well. Another interesting thing to add in about the chaos of this weekend. Roscommon hammered Leitrim 5-17-14 points, while the Donegal-Derry game was also postponed. And I almost forgot Friday's games as well. Tyrone and Armagh had a huge turnout in the McKenna Cup round 1. Tyrone won by 213-17 points. And then in the McGrath Cup, Clare beat Waterford by 310-11 points. And Tipperary beat Limerick by 15 points to 4. And I haven't mentioned yet about the hurling. So starting off with Saturday's games. In the Munster League, Clare beat Limerick by 320-318. Tipperary and Waterford drew 118 apiece. While in the Walsh Cup then today, Wexford beat Laois by 120-17 points. Dublin beat Carlow by 23 points to 17. And I was commentating on this game for Clubber TV. Big shout out to them. Wicklow beat Down by 213-17 points in the Keogh Cup. In the Walsh Cup again, Offaly and Antrim was cancelled. Kildare and Galway was cancelled. And Westmeath and Kilkenny was also cancelled as well. Liam, I mean, there's a fairly obvious place for you to start with your home county getting off the mark in 2026.
Yeah, look, I was nearly falling asleep watching it yesterday. That's what the O'Byrne Walsh Cup does to you. But yeah, no, look, it was nice to get a run out for a couple of players yesterday. Look, we have a lot of injuries at football at the moment. John Furlong's out for a while. Paddy Dunnigan, who recently got married, is also out for a while. Dylan Highland has a serious injury and he's going to be out for a while as well. So we're kind of down to the bare bones at the moment. But there were some good performers yesterday. Rory Egan really impressed with a goal and 3 points. Cormac Egan came off the bench and got a goal for us. We nearly looked like we were going to lose it in the end. Still some things to work on at the back. But look, it's like we mentioned there, it's the first game of the year. There's no point reaching into these lads or saying you need to do this, need to do that, because like at the end of the day, anyone can get a call up for the O'Byrne Cup at this rate, to be honest with you. But no, look, there were some good performers from some of the Offaly lads yesterday. Some of the Carlow players impressed as well. So, and look, the scoreline would suggest that was a good game of football. To me, it wasn't. It wasn't the best game of football, to be honest with you. But look, it's things to work on. It's good to get some lads, back into inter-county action. So, and with Marcus Dalton, who was at centre-back for me, had a big season for Clara last year as they won the Senior B Championship. It was nice to see him togged out there. So, yeah, no, look, some good things to work on, some things to look forward to over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, a very tough league campaign coming up when you look at the games against Cork, Meath, Derry, Tyrone, just to name a few, which is terrifying at the sound of it loud. Like, what's terrifying, and I only realised it the other day, was the fact that on the first day of the league, we're playing both Leinster champions, Kilkenny and Louth. Like, that's just horrific, but it's also brilliant. You know, and I'll be down in Kilkenny for the hurlers just because I'd be more hurling than I would be football. But it's brilliant to see, you know, that we are getting these games this season, and hopefully we can show something in the league this year anyways. But yeah, look, and obviously look, awfully, they won the toss against Antrim, coincidentally. So they're playing Galway on Sunday in Ballinasloe. So another great chance for the hurlers to show what they have this year.
Absolutely. Ty King here saying Kildare's David Hyland retired today. Kildare up again at big time now. Peter saying David Hyland retired today, lads. Yeah. Super player for Kildare. Very, very solid defender and versatile as well. Capable of playing around the middle. But that's a big blow definitely for Brian Flanagan. Very versatile player. Yeah, did his county proud. All the best in retirement, David. And Anya here saying poor Leitrim starting their best team and getting hammered. And then a bit of banter from Gavin or Roscommon, man. At least Leitrim were able to fulfill a team against Roscommon, but maybe they shouldn't. Roscommon were absolutely on it today by the looks of things. Rob Kelly here saying it will be hard to beat Kerry this year. They didn't have Paul Gainey, Tom O'Sullivan or Diarmuid O'Connor for the most part. And when you add in Sean O'Shea and Paddy Clifford weren't fully fit. Yeah, and then, I mean, you're talking about the lads that are in Australia as well, looking at the championship. Killian Burke, Mark O'Connor, Rob Monaghan as well is another one who went. Am I missing anyone? Anyone else go? I think, Ben Murphy. Ben Murphy from Austin Stacks. He looks like a baller, and then he's gone as well. Like, so Kerry somehow are still winning All Irelands despite not being at their full potential of what they could be if they had Killian Burke, Mark O'Connor and everything like that in the team. So really, really, really interesting to see how the next year will develop. I want to give a big shout as well to the game that I was commentating on, the Dublin-Carlow game. Dublin took it very serious. 5 players started the game for Dublin that started last year's All-Ireland semi-final against Cork. 5 players started the game against Limerick in the All-Ireland quarterfinal. Like Diarmuid O'Dooling started. He was player of the match. He was brilliant. Scored 11 points. Conor Donoghue started. Conor Burke started. Like Paddy Smith was a full-back. Sean Brennan was in goal. There were some big names on the team sheet. Carlo had Martin Kavanagh playing. Peter here saying Seamus was Hedgehow playing. He wasn't playing in this game. Unfortunately, I love what?
Was Purcell playing for Dublin?
Purcell was playing, yeah. David Purcell and Dara Purcell. Both of them were centre forward and full forward. It was a good game. It was a good win for Dublin, no question about it. The first half, there was never more than 2 points between the teams in the first half, and it was in the third quarter that Dublin put some distance between the sides, and then that was enough to get us over the line. So I was happy with what I saw, especially Diarmuid O'Dooling looked really, really good, like sharp as hell, especially for this time of year. And he has the potential to be a superb forward, no question. Aaron, you were at the football. What did you make of the first game of the year? There was, I'd say, in terms of big names and like nailed on starters, there was less of them. But that's sometimes how you find the diamond. Like Niall Scully was found in the O'Byrne Cup famously and everything like that. Anyone that caught your eye?
Yeah, there was definitely a few, all right. I thought Kevin Stevenson around midfield was very, very impressive. Given the fact that Dublin are in search of midfielders really since Brian Fenton left. Yeah, like it was probably the only real recognisable name probably in the team was Niall O'Callaghan. And that's mainly from, you know, playing with Cúilín. Like he was very good, to be fair. He scored 1-6. And we could definitely see maybe a lot more of him within the Dublin team. Robert Shaw, I think a wing back as well. He was very, very good. I think he got a goal and a point. He was very impressive. But overall, like it was brilliant stuff really from Dublin. Considering how much the team was changed, and you could see the sort of Gerard Brennan blueprint within the team as well. They were very goal heavy, very, very focused on goals. Very similar to watching the Louth footballers last year. It reminded me a bit of what Louth did in the Leinster final, other than keeping the ball for a long, long time. But in terms of that, like focus on goals and everything else. And yeah, some top performers. The goalkeeper as well. Can't remember his name off the top of my head now, but in the first half was very impressive for Dublin as well. Had some brilliant kickouts. I think Sam Maloney, I think might have been his name. He was very good. Sean Guyton was good as well. Like, there's a lot of very good players there from a Dublin perspective. And yeah, definitely some positives to take. And what was actually refreshing as well, like watching Dublin kick 2-pointers. They kicked about 5 2-pointers in the second half. Like seeing Dublin do that, it was like, this is absolutely glorious.
What do you think of the new jersey?
I actually like it. Yeah, it looks
like
quite
it.
nice. It almost bit of a throwback. It almost kind of reminds me a bit of like the mid 2000s kind of Arnis era. So yeah.
Absolutely. Last question here from Rob Kelly before we wrap the show up. He said, do you think the new rules play a part in Kerry's success this year? Because they probably suit them. Absolutely. They have the best inside forward in Ireland in David Clifford. These new rules guarantee that he gets more space, which is great news for the fans, but terrible news for his opponents. And you've seen it this year. He was at his brilliant best. And you look as well, not just at David, but like they're fast movers. Like there's more free flowing nature to the game, and Kerry have so much pace. That's why I think Brino Buglik had one of his best years. Gavin White had one of his best years. That open road is really in front of them, and the ball moves a lot quicker. And when the ball is moving a lot quicker, the team with more pace will thrive, and no question about it. Kerry have a lot of pace in their team. Paddy Clifford as well is another one who's thrived under the new rules. Peter here saying, thanks a million, lads. See you Thursday at 8 p.m. Yeah, well said there, Peter. We'll be back with the weekend preview show next Thursday at 8 p.m. to run through all of that upcoming weekend's action as well. So make sure to tune in for that as well. And we also have a little something special coming for you with regards to the league action. Our first in-person show, we'll be putting that out across the channel. We've managed to rent out a studio, and we will be posting that across the socials. A full preview and predictions of the Allianz Leagues for 2026. So keep eyes peeled. We'll be dropping that across all of our socials. The National Leagues 2026. I cannot wait to go into the new year with that. Lads, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much to everybody who got involved in the discussion. You really helped to make that episode really enjoyable. We had a bumper weekend of action. We're back with the GAA in 2026. We'll be back on Thursday at 8 p.m. Until then, ta-ra.
Instinct, baby.